What's going on, even and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Matt, bringing you back to yet another hashtag Skullmation meeting for week 3. Realistic Randy dropped his Vikings versus Texans preview. Instead of reacting to rap, I chose Realistic Randy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna switch through between creators depending on who uploads their predictions first. So, their preview first. So. Most definitely, we're going to check out what Realistic Randy has to say. He's been a fan of my Vikings for a long time. So, we're going to break down and preview our matchup versus the Texans. What are the keys to victory? And all that good stuff in a bag of chips, man. Without further ado, let's dive right into this thing. How you doing?
Will the magic continue, or will the Vikings experience their first speed bump along the way as the Vikings host the Houston Texans? This is the preview vid. Let's talk about it, as this video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Let's get right into it. The first key matchup in this game is injury report versus injury report. This is a hot app.
Yeah, because Jettas and Addison are on an injury report. Jettas is listed as dead today, and had limited practice. And Addison is still a DNP, sadly. And on their side, I think Nico Collins was a DNP for yesterday too. So we'll see how much dividends that takes us.
Mess. Which team will end up being hurt the least come Sunday? The latest injury reports for both teams and the numbers that I'm going to give you are starters listed on there as either limited or DNP for the Texans. 6 starters. 5 of those starters DNP. And get this, the center position, both the starter and the backup, both DNPs.
Ooh.
You couldn't make this up.
That's tough.
This is crazy. For the Vikings, 7 starters, 2 DNPs. So clearly health is an issue. Both teams are reeling in that department right now. This obviously, things can change depending on how much you have to adjust, how many backups you have to bring in to start for these injured players. So that's something you're going to have to monitor. But for the sake of this preview vid, it's alright. We're assuming that both teams can get to as close as healthy as possible. But this is wild. It's early, obviously. 2 games for all these teams this week going into week 3. This early in the season, teams are still trying to figure it out. They're not a finished product, which is crazy to think about if you're a Vikings fan. Because I tell you what, if this is the worst version of the 2024 Minnesota Vikings, alright, look out. We about to go crazy up in here. Same thing can be said for the Houston Texans, in the sense that they haven't been playing as well as they're capable of. They had a really close game with the Chicago Bears last week.
They should have blew him out. I'm sorry. They should have blew him out with how bad Caleb was playing. I'm sorry. They should have blew him out, and they didn't.
Not a good team. They got Caleb Williams as a rookie. He's going to get it together, I think. Maybe not. Doesn't apply here. Chicago has a top 10 defense. Chicago, against the Houston Texans, forced 6 3-and-outs and a fumble. The second half, they allowed just 3 points. So they were on the Texans' ass. However, the Texans...
The Bears' offense just didn't want to capitalize that game for some reason. Don't know why.
Much better than that. They will eventually get into their groove, and if you're smart, which the Vikings are, you have to prepare for that possibility that suddenly they're going to be clicking on all cylinders. They're going to be at their best. If they're anything less than that, if they were what they were up against Chicago, even better. But always prepare for the worst. Last week against San Francisco, the Vikings faced 3 upper echelon playmakers in Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle.
Which we locked down one of them.
These playmakers that the Texans have, and Diggs, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins, these are dynamic pass-catching weapons where they fly, or they have the ability to fly. The cornerbacks have been getting away with subpar coverage play. I'm looking at Stephon Gilmore so far, giving up an 82% completion rate. We already know how bad Byron Murphy Jr. has been playing. And you're not going to be able to...
The cornerback room has their work cut out for them. All three of them, Shaq Griffin, Stingy Stephon, and BJ. All three of them, they gotta get it together if we're gonna win this game. They have to
allow that bad play to get swept under the rug. You have to cover in this game. Gilly on the outside, you're gonna face a lot of Nico Collins, and for the sake of Byron Murphy Jr., the nickel corner, you're gonna be facing Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is the Texans slot guy. Stephon Diggs with 2 touchdowns this season, both in week 1 against the Indianapolis Colts. Both of those touchdowns in the red zone within the 10-yard line. So these are quick slants, boom, quick passes, touchdown. So no falling back, no pre-snap of 6-7 yards off of Stephon Diggs. Press up on him, and after the snap, I think just to be safe, Brian Flores knows what he's doing, but this is for the sake of what I would hope to see in these situations. You have to know that Diggs is going to be the hot target right there in the red zone, especially as they get closer in goal territory.
Well, of course, I mean, Diggs is like 6'2".
Byron Murphy, press up, but also either have a safety drop down to have a second set of hands for that quick pass, or have Blake Cashman drop back. So either way, you're good. You got 2 guys on him.
6-0. I'm sorry.
Big time threat. Also,
but yeah, I agree. Well, Diggs is 6-0, but yeah, man, I agree. Like, you need to have either some help underneath for Byron or some help over top. And like, I would prefer underneath because of challenging CJ Stroud to make a much tougher throw. You know what I'm saying? Because help over top, he's just going to bomb it. And, like, there's going to be a chance where he's going to get batted down. And I think he'll risk that. So, underneath, he probably will be forced to throw to somebody else. But in that case, let's have him throw over the top then. See how quick our safeties get after it, namely Smith and Bynum. Or Metellus if he's there.
Similar to San Francisco, the Texans have a strong run game, top 10 in the league, led by Joe Mixon at 92 yards per game. And the Vikings showed last week against the Niners that they are more than capable of taking that challenge head on. Not so much in the first half where he got dashed up by Jordan Mason, but in the second half, please. The Vikings took it off the table for San Francisco. In fact, I don't know that there's another team in the league more committed to the run than San Francisco. So that was the litmus test. You showed that you have what it takes to stop the run game, at least in one half of football. Let's see if they can do it for a full game against Houston. Go.
Well, we did against the Giants, brother. Like, you didn't watch that one? we capable of doing it for a whole game, depending on the team. But, you know, the Texans are a higher caliber team, so it'll be a good test for the B. Flowers defense, you know what I'm saying?
Going to their passing game, their quarterback, C.J. Stroud, this ain't Brock Purdy you're going up against, where there's a legit argument to be made as far as, is he really that guy or not? Like, you're going to pay him. But as far as when you have to pay him his second contract, and you got to figure out where you're going to slash money at, and you're going to have to cut ties with big names, is it going to be worth it? Do you think Brock Purdy will make up for that loss of talent? There's a legit debate to be had there, if he's really that guy. C.J. Stroud, there is no conversation. This man is a borderline superstar, if not already one. So obviously the name of the game is getting pressure, and
we have to.
We got to talk about the state of their offensive line. It is a hot-ass dookie of a mess. And I wish I was making this up. This is not exaggerating at all. And that includes Laramie Tunsil, who through the first 2 games has allowed 2 sacks and 4 penalties. How is that translated for the Texans? C.J. Stroud.
The fall off of Laramie Tunsil has to be studied by the Vikings locker room. Anyway, let me stop.
Through the first 2 games has been sacked 7 times, tied for 3rd most in the league.
3rd most?
Meanwhile, their opponent, the Minnesota Vikings, they lead the league in sacks. Come on, bro. This matchup is prime for the Vikings edge rushers to absolutely go off. I expect Brian Flores to put up another masterclass of a coaching performance.
Hottie. Johnny Green Thumbs. AVG. Pat Jones II. Let's eat. That's all I'm saying. I didn't say Diamond Dallas Turner because we don't know if Dallas Turner is going to play, because he was also a DNP.
And we'll get to more of these matchups, but first, sign up for BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Get a 150% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Just use the promo code YouTube150. Right now, the Texans are 1-point favorites, even though the Vikings are hot right now and the Vikings are at home. I'll take the Vikings to cover the spread. I do think they are going to win this game. I think you're going to have, I think by default, just because of the talent that the Texans have, that they're going to put points on the board, even though I expect the defense to get the better of the Texans offense for the majority of the game. And I think the Vikings are going to put some points up too. So give me the over on 45.5 points. Now then, talking about the Texans defense, which is 3rd ranked in the league. 2 things can be true. I do believe they have a great defense. At the same time, they haven't played a quarterback worth a damn.
No.
Respectfully.
No.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb was a rookie. Unproven.
Early on. No
Unproven.
there. You can only control who you go up against.
And then, like, they faced Anthony Richardson.
And in week 1, we played Anthony Richardson, who, spoiler alert, turns out I was right. That whole pre-draft process last year, where everybody, including Vikings fans, were going gaga over this guy coming from Florida.
He ain't all that.
Hey, we gotta draft this guy.
Anthony Richardson not all that.
Oh my God, he's not a good quarterback.
As much as I want to like him because he's a black quarterback, I'm sorry, AR5 or AR15, whatever the hell you want to call him, he ain't all that. He's not all that. I'm sorry. He's not a game changer. You saw how piss poor he was playing against Green Bay last week. If you can't beat Green Bay without Jordan Love, you're not that guy.
But he's built like a Greek statue. He's not a good quarterback.
No.
But he can throw the ball 80 yards while on one knee. Incredible.
That's just one time.
Quarterback coming into the league with a sub 60% completion rate. The last 20 years, the only quarterbacks that's been able to do that going into the pros and turned out to be an actual franchise quarterback, 3 guys. Lamar Jackson out of Louisville, Josh Allen out of Wyoming, and Matt Ryan out of Boston College. That's it. It is
That's a stacked list.
Rare to have a sub 60% completion rate as a quarterback and then go to the next level into the pros where guys bigger, faster, stronger, better competition. And then, all the mishaps in college with accuracy, they got better in the pros. It just
It's rare.
happen very often.
It's rare.
Still, the Texans, they have playmakers on defense. I don't think they have a weakness on defense, quite honestly. Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter, that's their edge rushers. Hunter.
The secondary can fly, but I think they can get got, my brother. But we'll see how true that is come Sunday.
Former Vikings player, we know how great he is. So that's going to be, man, I think our tackles are going to they're going to struggle a little bit, especially against Daniil Hunter. I think Daniil Hunter is one of those few guys in the league where, man, as elite as our tackles are, they're going to probably give up a play or 2. I put Hunter in that same category where, I mean, I got to put Bosa in there as well after his performance last week. And I'm also going to include Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. That's about it.
Obviously.
But I think they're going to have their work cut out.
They're in a class all by themselves.
Henry To'oTo'o, their linebacker, on pace for 170 tackles. They have good cornerback play. This guy, Kamari Lassiter, could be a star in the making. And they have good safety play from Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie. So I think, much like Brian Flores needs to put on a masterclass, I think you're going to need also
a Kevin O'Connell masterclass.
Coaching performance from Kevin O'Connell.
Yep.
Outcoached the Niners defensive coordinator last week, Nick Sorensen. You're going to have to do the same against, I don't know if DeMeco Ryans or their defensive coordinator, Matt Burke, is the one that's calling the defensive plays. I tried to look this up, Texas fans.
I put money on DeMeco Ryans is probably calling the majority of the defensive plays. Let's just be for real.
Oh, you know the answer to that? You can let me know in the comments section below. But whoever it is, you're going to have to outcoach them. I believe the Vikings is the best coached team in the league. I know it's early, but I said what I said, damn it. I'm going to say, honestly, the biggest concern I have, besides the injury reports, in this game is, and I talked about this on Purple Parlor, the group show I do with Rap and SK. The main concern I have is when they get a big win and the emotional high, just they can't get over it going into the next game. They're still stuck on the week before and they have a big time letdown. I do believe the kicker curse is broken. I do believe this is a good football team.
Don't say that. Don't say that. I mean, I get it. He hasn't missed yet, but dude, we got to see Will Riker get a playoff kick in for us. Before you say anything. Before you say anything. Just don't speak too soon.
But if you are going to be consistent and break curses within this franchise, the many that exists in its history, I think that's the next thing I need to see. Are you going to be up and ready and competitive enough to where, win or lose, hey, you gave it your all and the better team won? That's what I need to see. But I'm going to say that the Vikings will win this game. Final score, 31-20. Vikings. And the crowd, US Bank Stadium, they're going to be loud as hell. So, if the Texans don't all of a sudden have their stuff together, they've struggled a bit. They haven't played as well as they are capable of these first two games. But if they do continue to play under their own talent, that crowd's going to really be a distraction. I think it is baseline, but it's going to be even more so if you're still trying to figure things out for yourselves. 31-20 Vikings.
Don't count out the US Bank Stadium home crowd. But if there's anything that Randy didn't touch on that I want to touch on is that on offense, we definitely need to make establishing the run still an emphasis, despite the hiccups we had last week, namely Aaron Jones fumbling before he got in the end zone. But that's really not that much of his fault. It was Fred Warner seeing an opportunity and seizing it with his game-breaking ass. But anyway, but yeah, like I think if we can establish the run and make sure the heat on Sam Darnold isn't too hot, and we're not forcing him to do more than what he's usually asked, I think we can get a gash in their secondary, and I think we could definitely put up some points against this Texans team. But anyway, but that's gonna do it for my part of it. And then like another thing is not taking forever to get a playoff, but they're doing that. But another thing I want the Vikings to watch out for is to watch the penalties. We had too many penalties committed on us in the second half of the game, and I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? The cornerbacks definitely have to step up. That I do agree. And then we got to limit that run with Joe Mixon because they will mix that up. You know what I'm saying? But the most important thing is winning the turnover battle and watching the penalties. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never upload. And I'll see you all probably next week for another Skull Nation meeting, depending on the status of our team and the week 4 opponent being the Packers. So till then, I'll take care of y'all. Deuces.